Welcome, thank you for joining us. I'm Rick Traynor, Executive Chairman of Begbies Traynor, and I'm joined by Nick Taylor, the Financial Director of Begbies Traynor. And we're here to introduce to you the acquisition of David Rubin Partners and an associated fundraising. This represents a further significant expansion of the group's scale in business recovery and financial advisory. There is the usual disclaimer, which I suggest that you read in due course. Turning to the next page, you will see the highlights of both the acquisition and fundraise. David Rubin Partners, also known as DRP, is an insolvency practice with offices in London and Guernsey. It's expected to be immediately earnings enhancing and is in line with our strategy to target value accretive acquisitions. It delivers significant increase in scale of our recovery and advisory business. There is a maximum consideration for acquiring the business of £25 million on a cash-free, debt-free basis with normalised working capital. The fundraising is a placing and primary bid offer to fund DRP acquisition and other pipeline opportunities. This is a 10 million vendor placing for the initial consideration of DRP and a cash placing and primary bid offer for the acquisition pipeline and general corporate purposes. Moving to details of the acquisition, the significant office is in London with a small office in Guernsey. This is one of the larger insolvency boutiques with a turnover of approximately £10 million, with strong and consistent financial track record and excellent operating margins. Long established with a strong reputation, it was founded in 1984. There is a team of 72 joining us, including 6 partners, with a broad mix of routine engagements together with some larger and more complex assignments. It does general practice work, but with a specific expertise in sports insolvencies, which includes the administration of Bolton Wanderers and Blackpool football clubs in the recent past. It is in line with our strategy to target value accretive acquisitions. It's the largest acquisition we've done to date and builds on the recent acquisition of CVR in January of this year. This gives a significant increase in scale of the recovery and advisory business, taking us to over 70 million of turnover. Moving on to the reasons for and benefits of the acquisition. This increases our market share to 12% by volume from 8% in calendar 18 and just over 10% in the 6 months to September 2020. It gives us a material increase in the scale of our London marketplace, with an annual fee income for London increasing to 28 million from 13 million, including the CVR London office and the DRP acquisition. The enlarged London team will be 26 partners and is a very significant market participant, which will improve our profile and reach in that all-important marketplace. It will increase the average size of case handled by the group as a result of the mixed impact of the larger London mid-market offering. Revenue synergies across the group will come from the addition of DRP onto banks panels, where Begbies Traynor operate, the access to the geographic spread of offices we have around the country, and the ability to refer valuation and realisation work for assets to our in-house agency of Eddisons. And the Guernsey office enhances the growing offshore capability following the acquisition of CVR at the beginning of the year, and we now have 5 offshore offices. So turning to the next slide, showing integration plans. The business will operate as Begbies Traynor following acquisition. The case management system used is common across the profession, and therefore this IPS system, as it's called, will be used by the enlarged group. The IT integration to a common platform will follow the CVR migration, which is proceeding in line with plan and targeted to complete this financial year. The common IT platform will enable co-location of teams where possible. And these property co-location plans are for the CVR teams to relocate in this financial year, and that's moving ahead as planned. And the DRP Holborn team will relocate in the new financial year to our existing offices in Canary Wharf. And the support functions will be integrated into the group central services following acquisition. Turning to the next page, Nick will go over the terms of the acquisition and the associated financials.
Thank you, Rick. Starting with the terms of the acquisition, maximum consideration of 25 million on a cash-free, debt-free basis with normalised levels of working capital. That consideration is made up of 3 tranches, an initial consideration of 12 million, 10 million in cash being funded through the vendor placing, together with £2 million in shares, which are subject to a 2-year lock-in period from the vendors. There is a contingent consideration of up to 8 million, which is subject to maintaining financial performance over the first 4 years following the acquisition, in line with the performance you can see in the lower part of this slide. That gives a consideration of £20 million for maintaining performance at historic levels. And there is an earn-out of up to 5 million, which is subject to material growth in the business over the 5 years following the acquisition. The completion of the acquisition will occur on or around admission of the shares to AIM on the 17th of March. And in line with our previous transactions, we have retention provisions against the key sellers. There are 6 partners in the business, 4 of whom are committing for a period of at least 5 years, and 2 of the partners who are far nearer to retirement are committing for a period of at least 3 years. We expect the acquisition to be immediately earnings enhancing, both in the current financial year and principally in the new financial year for April 22. And the business itself has a consistent record of strong financial performance. And the table shows a consistent record of strong financial performance, fee income around about the £10 million level, and operating margins in excess of 30%. Current year performance in their financial year to April 21 is broadly in line with this trend. The next slide shows the material increase in the scale of the group following the acquisitions which we have completed in this year. On a pro forma basis, this increases our revenue by 21.3 million and our pre-tax profits by 4.5 million. And this table is a pro forma of prior year results. So the April 20 number for the group is a historic actual and do not reflect the current expectations of growth in the market for both financial year 21 and FY22.
Thank you, Nick. Turning to the summary slide, positive outlook and acquisition opportunity. We're confident of the outcome for the full year, at least in line with expectations. The proposed acquisition of DRP increases our market share to 12%, delivers significant increase in scale of the recovery and advisory business, notably in the key London market, and is expected to be immediately earnings enhancing. The successful placing and primary bid offer gives us significant headroom to fund acquisitions and organic growth. The benefits of recent acquisitions and the current growth initiatives position the group well for material growth in the new financial year. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to updating you further after the year end.